Today's breaking story is significantly disrupting the entire Dong and Dinar community, and virtually no one had anticipated this shift so soon. Viewers located across the nation are vehemently claiming they have been the recipients of mysterious, unsolicited early appointment calls, reported private exchange invitations, and numerous leaked whispers about a new 2025 rate buzz that surrounds both the Vietnamese Dong and the Iraqi Dinar. Whether these compelling claims represent genuine financial breakthroughs, are simply the result of widespread misunderstandings, or are indicative of something much more complex, one undeniable fact is absolutely certain: something highly unusual and pervasive is currently unfolding behind the scenes. And in this comprehensive report today, we are committed to digging deep into every single detail, scrutinizing every circulating rumor, verifying every unexplained banking shift, and analyzing every alert that you have diligently messaged us about. Please remain closely engaged with us because the specific nature of the information that we are receiving today is unlike anything we have previously covered, and the conclusion of this report may fundamentally alter your entire perception of the revaluation conversation. Over the course of the intense last 72 hours, numerous private chat channels, various currency forums, and multiple social media groups have experienced an explosion of entirely new claims originating from established holders of the Vietnamese Dong and the Iraqi Dinar. According to numerous testimonies from these specific individuals, completely unexpected appointment invitations are reportedly being delivered discreetly through phone calls, confidential emails, and even direct, face-to-face communication from financial insiders or former banking professionals. What truly distinguishes this latest wave of claims from the pervasive rumors of past years is not just the sheer number of people actively reporting these experiences, but the remarkable and consistent uniformity of the specific details they are actively describing. Many claim they received contact without having recently registered or signed up anywhere. Others specifically mentioned that the caller already possessed intimate knowledge of their full name and the specific foreign currency they currently hold. Still, others strongly insist that the procedural instructions provided were unusually specific and strict. Bring a valid form of identification, arrive strictly alone, and be fully prepared for extensive verification procedures. None of these recent claims have received any official acknowledgement from major commercial banks, and no government agency has publicly confirmed the existence of any organized, coordinated exchange event. However, the sudden, overwhelming surge of strikingly similar testimonies has prompted many to seriously question whether a strictly limited, private early access system is actively being tested and utilized in complete secrecy behind the banking curtains. Whether all of these dramatic stories ultimately prove to be inaccurate or are simply the expected result of rapidly growing market speculation, the sheer volume and the consistent, serious tone of the reports are causing significant surprise and strongly fueling major financial curiosity within the community. One of the single most surprising and striking elements embedded in these new reports is the repeated mention of private, off-site locations instead of the typical, conventional bank branches. Several individuals strongly insist that they were directly instructed to report to temporary facilities, security-controlled suites, or even small, unassuming office buildings. These consistent descriptions repeatedly include features like quiet hallways, staff meticulously checking IDs at the entry door, and minimal or no external signage. Some individuals confidently claim that the entire experience felt intensely private but highly organized, as if the temporary setting was intentionally designed to severely restrict public attention and keep all foot traffic to an absolute minimum. Others reported being specifically asked to securely store their mobile phones in a designated locker before finally entering a secure meeting room. It is important to reiterate that none of these specific details have been fully confirmed independently, and every viewer must remember that these detailed accounts are currently originating from individuals merely sharing their personal, unverified stories, not from any official, credible financial institutions. But the pattern of similar claims is sufficiently striking that we cannot possibly afford to ignore the rising chatter. Why would supposed early appointments, if they are genuinely taking place, be strategically conducted away from known, public bank buildings? Is this a large-scale pilot program, a critical security test, or simply clever, creative storytelling from overly excited currency holders? At this current stage, we simply cannot definitively say either way. What we can definitively state, however, is that these persistent claims of off-site locations have successfully added an entirely new, complex layer of deep intrigue to the entire Dinar and Dong discussions currently unfolding in 2025. In addition to the current wave of mysterious appointment claims, there is a simultaneous, parallel wave of chatter, this time revolving around reported rate expectations for 2025. While no major bank has officially confirmed any new exchange rate and there has been no formal revaluation announcement, Social media channels have been extensively filled with speculation concerning highly updated Dong and Dinar values. Some current chatter strongly suggests that analysts actively tracking Iraq's ongoing economic adjustments are clearly seeing strong signs of consistently strengthening currency conditions. Others logically point to Vietnam's expanding digital financial systems and its sustained economic development as strong indicators that something significant may be shifting in the currency's value. Still, these specific interpretations are absolutely not confirmed, factual predictions, and we must strongly emphasize that all financial markets strictly operate on verifiable, confirmed policy changes, not on circulating rumors or unfounded speculation. Yet, the primary reason why these specific rate discussions are rapidly gaining such immense momentum right now is the uncanny fact that they perfectly align with the sudden reports of early appointments. When two distinct streams of community chatter exchange invitations and rate buzz simultaneously rise at the exact same moment, the community naturally and instinctively attempts to start connecting all the scattered dots. Whether these dots truly lead to a single conclusion is still unknown, but the highly unusual timing is compelling enough that even long-term observers who typically dismiss such rumors are now paying significantly more attention than they normally would. Another extremely interesting and emerging trend, based on numerous community messages, is the significantly increased number of reports specifically involving the Vietnamese Dong. For numerous years, the Iraqi Dinar has overwhelmingly dominated the vast majority of all revaluation discussions. But much more recently, the Dong has been appearing considerably more frequently in various claims about verification meetings or alleged reported appointments. Some individuals now confidently claim that their specific invitations explicitly mentioned Dong transactions. Others stated they were instructed to bring both currencies but distinctly sensed a greater emphasis on the Vietnamese side of the exchange. There are also whispers circulating about new, aggressive rate models, although again, absolutely no financial institution has confirmed any of this information. Analysts who closely follow Vietnam's rapid financial development note that the country has been consistently strengthening its underlying economic structure, aggressively improving digital banking, and systematically increasing its global trade connections. Still, this consistent economic progress does not automatically imply a major, sudden currency adjustment. It simply means that the Dong is now playing a much larger, more critical role in the regional economies. But what is truly surprising is the very sudden shift in the community's attention from exclusively dinar-only stories to these mixed dinar-dong narratives. Whether this shift genuinely reflects real financial movement occurring behind the scenes or is simply an indicator of evolving, dynamic rumor cycles, the greatly increased involvement of Dong-related chatter is one of the most visible and noticeable patterns observed in the 2025 conversation. Many individual holders have also described completely new, detailed types of communication methods in these alleged early appointment contacts. Unlike the older stories that often relied on generic notifications or vague emails, this significant new wave involves highly detailed, specific instructions. Some individuals confidently claim that the callers accurately referenced full names, specific city locations, and even the approximate purchase dates of their currency. Others state they were asked to personally confirm whether their physical bills were already mixed together or neatly organized by the specific denomination. While such specific details could potentially indicate a real, highly organized system, they could also be the result of highly sophisticated scam attempts utilizing educated guesswork or publicly accessible information. That's why we must strongly reiterate the critical warning to all viewers: never send personal banking information, passwords, private data, or any money whatsoever to anyone contacting you unsolicited about currency exchanges. Verified, legitimate institutions will never request private login information or any kind of upfront payments. And all genuine, large-scale banking events are always publicly and formally announced. Still, the unique tone and the noticeable intensity of these reported calls have successfully sparked significant debate within the community. Some holders sincerely believe the specific details sound too professionally coordinated to be merely random scams. Others correctly argue that modern scammers have become considerably more convincing and sophisticated. As of the current moment, the exact truth remains entirely uncertain, but the dramatic rise in highly detailed contact reports is undeniably fueling intense discussion across the entire community. Now, we must dedicate some time to discussing the surprising and distinct rise in various bank-related oddities that have been reported by numerous viewers nationwide. Many individuals have recently shared striking stories about sudden new foreign currency purchase restrictions enacted at their local bank branches. Some specific banks have reportedly completely stopped offering certain currencies without any explanation, while others have severely limited exchanges to only much smaller amounts. Again, banks possess the right to adjust their internal policies at any time for various operational reasons, and these internal changes very often have absolutely no connection to major, external financial events. But the unusual timing of these internal restrictions has completely and understandably captured the intense attention of many dinar and dong holders. On top of these restrictions, A few individuals have even claimed that their usual bank tellers provided surprisingly unusual responses, such as, "We're waiting for system updates, a system change is currently happening," or, "We're temporarily not allowed to process those specific requests right now." None of these reports definitively confirms any special appointment program or a formal revaluation event, but they certainly contribute to the pervasive overall atmosphere of uncertainty and curiosity. Sometimes these situations are created by software upgrades, regulatory reviews, or routine policy updates. Other times, employees simply miscommunicate information or completely misunderstand a situation. Nevertheless, the objective fact that multiple viewers are actively reporting highly similar experiences has strongly added momentum to the mounting speculation. As an increasing number of stories continue to pour into our newsroom, another critical, major theme is strongly emerging: the issue of secrecy. Many individuals who are claiming to have received early appointment notifications insist that they were strictly instructed to completely avoid publicly discussing the specific details. Some were reportedly told not to mention the location, the appointment time, or the individual who initially contacted them. Others stated they were specifically asked to keep the entire interaction completely offline until a later, unspecified notice. Now, secrecy can certainly be a definitive warning sign of scams because fraudulent individuals often want to isolate potential victims from outside advice. However, numerous supporters of the revaluation theory counter-argue that such confidentiality is completely normal and expected in restricted financial programs or limited pilot tests. Again, we cannot officially confirm the legitimacy or origin of these specific instructions. What we can confidently confirm is that this intense culture of secrecy is significantly contributing to the excitement and tension currently circulating throughout the currency community. Whenever crucial information is actively restricted, speculation naturally grows. Some individuals strongly interpret the intense secrecy as evidence of a highly sensitive, impending financial rollout. Others simply interpret it as a clear indication that the entire situation is completely unreliable. Regardless of which interpretation ultimately proves to be correct, the pervasive community conversation surrounding this issue of secrecy is now shaping a large portion of the 2025 Dong and Dinar discussions. Another frequent question that viewers consistently keep asking is whether all of these reports could actually be part of a controlled test environment. In the complex world of high finance and technology, large-scale pilot programs are routinely and quietly tested internally before they are ultimately rolled out on a much wider scale. These initial trials typically involve small, hand-picked groups, strictly controlled environments, and limited operational access points. Some active community members believe that this framework could expertly explain why only certain, specific individuals claim to have been contacted for these early appointments. They theorize that a sensitive pilot system might require a diverse mixture of currency holders to rigorously test all necessary document review methods, scanning equipment, and verification procedures. Others firmly believe that a genuine pilot program would never involve regular, private citizens and would instead strictly rely on internal bank staff or professional testers. Without any official confirmation, both of these possibilities remain purely speculation. But the intriguing idea of an early access test program has gained sufficient attention that it is now considered one of the leading, major theories actively circulating online. Whether this intriguing theory actually holds any substantive weight or simply reflects the community's profound desire for tangible progress is still entirely unknown, but it definitively adds yet another layer of deep intrigue to today's unfolding conversation. At the very core of this entire complex discussion is the Iraqi dinar itself, a specific currency that has been the focus of fervent speculation for well over an entire decade. Supporters of the revaluation theory sincerely believe that Iraq's rapidly expanding oil partnerships, increasing economic activity, and significant modernization efforts all strongly signal a long-term, sustained currency strengthening process. Critics strongly argue that Iraq's currency policy is rigorously and carefully managed and is highly unlikely to shift dramatically without clear, public government decisions. Both sides, however, readily agree that Iraq's financial trajectory has been steadily evolving year after year. Ongoing economic reforms, efforts to stabilize markets, and updated banking technology have been actively implemented. These key factors collaboratively create a real, verifiable foundation that continues to fuel speculation, even in the absence of a formal revaluation announcement. That is precisely why, when thoughtfully combined with the sudden, simultaneous wave of reported early appointments, the community is currently feeling more intensely divided and energized than they have been in years. Some sincerely believe that the timing is far too convenient and perfect to ignore. Others strongly caution that all real, significant currency adjustments are always officially and publicly declared. What remains completely undeniable is that the dinar conversation has surged dramatically back into the financial spotlight in a powerful way that we simply haven't witnessed in several years. The Vietnamese Dong is also now receiving considerably more community attention than is usual, and some key analysts note that Vietnam's economic environment has been steadily shifting and improving. Continued growth in global trade, foreign investment, and manufacturing persistently pushes Vietnam into a more prominent and influential role in all of Southeast Asia. This sustained economic progress has naturally and logically led to widespread discussions about the Dong's long-term currency strength. Supporters of the Dong believe that improvements in international integration, banking modernization, and technology strongly signal a potentially much stronger future. Critics emphasize that Vietnam has consistently maintained a carefully controlled exchange rate system and is highly unlikely to implement any sudden, major changes. Yet, it is completely impossible to ignore the growing interest in the Dong within the specific revaluation community. Many dedicated holders are becoming significantly more vocal, especially as new, unverified reports now claim early appointments that include specific Dong verification. These persistent claims have sparked community discussions that the Dong could potentially play a more significant role in any possible future financial shifts. Whether these various theories are accurate or are merely fueled by speculation, the greatly increased community attention on the Dong is heavily contributing to the intense 2025 rate buzz. One major and important area of ongoing debate among community members is whether various technology upgrades at major banks could be the actual source contributing to some of the unusual experiences people have reported. Over the course of the last few years, most major banks have transitioned to highly advanced digital systems, introduced new, sophisticated scanning equipment, and updated all of their authentication processes. These large-scale changes can, at times, create temporary confusion, policy updates, or operational delays for employees, which might offer an explanation as to why some bank clerks are providing vague or unusual answers to customers. At the same time, all modern financial systems are increasingly utilizing advanced digital verification tools and automation. This implies that certain behind-the-scenes changes could potentially affect how various foreign currencies are processed, tracked, or officially logged. Supporters of the revaluation narrative argue vehemently that these massive upgrades could be proactively preparing the banks for larger future financial adjustments. Critics counter-argue that banks constantly update their systems and that the timing of these events could be purely coincidental. Regardless of which specific view is correct, the undeniable presence of major banking technology changes has significantly influenced how people are currently interpreting the current, intense wave of rumors. When strong technology shifts perfectly align with rising market speculation, it becomes easy for different narratives to blend together and ultimately take on a powerful life of their own. Another crucial angle worth exploring is the significant psychological impact these pervasive reports are currently having on the Dinar and Dong communities. Many long-term holders have been waiting for many years, even decades, desperately hoping for a major, life-changing financial shift. When fresh, specific claims surface, especially those describing early verification or private appointments, people naturally experience a heightened level of attention, hope, and excitement. At the exact same time, these intense emotional reactions can often make it much harder for individuals to accurately separate verifiable fact from mere speculation. This highly charged emotional landscape is a crucial part of what consistently keeps this financial conversation alive year after year. Supporters argue that staying hopeful and optimistic is absolutely important because major financial shifts often manifest gradually before suddenly occurring. Critics argue that excessive, unchecked optimism can easily lead people to accept unverified information too readily and without proper scrutiny. Both sides hold valid points, and both of these powerful perspectives significantly shape the community's current mindset. The single most important thing is that all viewers remain grounded, stay well informed, and maintain a high level of caution. As we continue through today's comprehensive report, remember that while these specific stories are compelling and dramatic, they absolutely remain unverified until formal, official announcements are publicly made. As an increasing number of new accounts continue to emerge, some people have naturally begun comparing the 2025 rumors to various previous waves of speculation from past years. In all earlier cycles, the specific rumors often centered on overseas updates, sudden market shifts, or leaked bank memos. This time around, the major focus is much more personal and direct: real phone calls, direct contact, explicit appointment instructions, and claimed interactions with financial representatives. This distinct difference makes the current wave feel more urgently personal and immediately pressing to many individual holders. However, it is crucial to remember that all rumors tend to evolve over time, becoming increasingly sophisticated and more detailed as people actively share their personal experiences. Comparisons to earlier years also clearly reveal how narratives change depending on global events, economic conditions, or overall market behaviors. Some individuals strongly argue that the 2025 financial environment is fundamentally different because global finance is now much more interconnected, more digital, and significantly more responsive to real economic data. Others sincerely believe that the current patterns are simply the same as always, a predictable cycle of financial curiosity that sharply spikes whenever anxiety or hope is significantly heightened. Either way, Fully understanding how today's claims compare to earlier ones can greatly help all viewers process the current situation with a much clearer, more balanced judgment. One of the single most frequently asked questions that we receive is whether massive financial institutions are actively preparing for any kind of unusual currency activity this year. Based on all official channels and public statements, most banks continue to operate their systems as normal, with absolutely no formal announcements regarding any special exchange programs. However, banks do, at various times, periodically update policies, change internal procedures, or place limitations on certain transactions based on current global conditions. These necessary, routine adjustments can sometimes be completely misinterpreted as signals of much larger, major events. For example, if a bank temporarily stops offering a specific currency due to auditing requirements, low supply, or specific regional restrictions, customers may incorrectly connect these internal changes to the broader rumors they have already heard. This tendency can significantly amplify all speculation. Supporters of the revaluation narrative argue that major banks would naturally and logically avoid making any public announcements until the specific, ideal moment. Critics correctly respond that a major national or global financial change would absolutely require public documentation and full transparency. Until all major institutions officially release public statements, all viewers must treat all incoming information, even the most convincing or exciting reports, with extreme caution and a balanced perspective. Another rapidly gaining conversation topic is whether various geopolitical developments could be fundamentally influencing the rise in speculation. Iraq, just like many other nations, continues its ongoing navigation of international partnerships, political discussions, and economic reforms. Vietnam also remains highly active in regional trade, technology expansion, and manufacturing growth. These powerful global shifts often collaboratively create fertile ground for market speculation, especially when currency discussions involve long-term economic potential. Supporters of the revaluation idea argue strongly that economic improvements in these nations could eventually and logically influence their currency value. Critics strongly respond that any major currency adjustment absolutely requires clear public policy actions, not just general economic progress. Nevertheless, these global developments certainly contribute to how people interpret the circulating rumors. When trade activity rises or foreign investment increases, some dedicated holders view this as a clear signal of potential financial change. Whether these powerful global factors have any proven connection to the reports of early appointments remains completely unproven, but they definitively influence the community's overall mindset and provide essential context to the growing wave of current discussions. One particularly specific and interesting report that we have received repeatedly involves surprising changes in mobile banking apps or sudden bank account alerts. Some individuals claimed their accounts displayed temporary access limitations or brief system updates that occurred during highly unusual hours. These reported experiences are almost certainly the result of normal technical maintenance cycles which banks routinely perform. However, because so many viewers are currently and actively watching for signs of a major event, even these routine maintenance cycles can easily trigger significant speculation. It is a natural human tendency for people to interpret ordinary occurrences in the specific context of extraordinary and compelling rumors, especially when those rumors are rapidly gaining traction. Still, we want to strongly emphasize that brief delays, maintenance messages, or account updates are absolutely not definitive indications of any confirmed financial shift. Modern banking technology mandates constant updates, especially during off-peak, overnight hours. But the reason we bring up these specific reports is that they collectively contribute to the rapidly growing sense of mystery surrounding this week's wave of community chatter. In moments where numerous unusual events appear to stack together through messages, restrictions, calls, it is extremely easy for speculation to quickly escalate, even without any verified, objective evidence. Viewers have also been actively sharing stories about significantly increased activity from private bankers and various wealth advisors. Some individuals claim they were contacted for apparently routine financial reviews, but the exact timing of the contact felt highly unusual to them. Others state that these advisors specifically asked questions about their foreign currency holdings, something they emphatically claim had never occurred before. Now, wealth advisors routinely check in with their clients, especially during periods of market volatility or at the beginning of new financial years. This practice is completely normal, but when the timing of these contacts overlaps with rising market speculation, some holders interpret these interactions as being part of a larger, coordinated picture. Again, there is absolutely no confirmation that advisors are actively participating in any kind of early appointment program, but these interactions have certainly sparked robust discussion about whether professionals in the financial sector are truly anticipating changes or are simply adhering to their standard, established schedules. As always, it is completely essential for all viewers to avoid jumping to conclusions. Normal, routine activities can easily appear significant when strategically placed alongside circulating rumors. But these reports remain an important part of the larger story because they actively add to the overall perceived sense of movement within the financial landscape, whether that movement is entirely real or purely imagined.